My name is Josma. I come from Mangalore. I was born in the village of Mangalore. My dad was working abroad in Muscat. So when I was in first standard, I was with my grandparents and my mom's brother. There, being alone, I was bullied in school. I used to dread going to school. I didn't have the energy or the guts to fight back. I used to act like, sometimes I was sick just so I could miss school. And I think somewhere this insecurity within me took a deep hold. It was just there, but I didn't know. On the other hand, we used to go for retreats before my mom left to Muscat. And during one of the retreats, when she had taken me for counseling, one of the brothers, when he was praying over me, he said that God will use my voice for His glory. By the time I was about to go to second standard, my parents called me to Muscat. There I was with them. It was pretty fine, second, third, fourth. And then I kept pleading my mom and my dad for a sibling. The first feeling when I saw my sister, when she was just 1 day old, was that of jealousy. There was no love. I was not really a very selfless sister to my sister. We had an age gap of around 8.5 years. So I was supposed to be like a mum to her. But I couldn't really give her any love. I think deep inside it was because of the insecurity that had taken root from long back. I thought my mum was the only person I could attach myself to, and seeing my mum give her attention to somebody else really broke me. It started with small fights at home, with me grumbling for tiny things, and it continued to big fights where I would back answer my parents almost every day. I used to fight with my sister. I used to instruct her, just teach her things that she had to do without any love, and my parents were naturally worried. I remember times when I used to cry till 4 in the night, thinking there was nobody for me. I used to think I was very ugly. And I remember around 7th or 8th, I used to keep asking my friends, do I look very ugly to you? And very stupid questions actually, now that I think of it, but I felt that ugly from within. And I think I didn't know how to face people because of my insecurity. Whenever people used to talk to me, I didn't know what was the right answer to give. And so I would shy away from people. Although there was a funny side to me which drew people to me, but because of my insecurity, I couldn't let people stay near me for a long time. And so I didn't really have a lot of friends in school. Because I had no other way out, I would write letters to Jesus, and hoping nobody would find it, I would keep it in a file. Recently, I saw some of them. They were so hateful, some of them. Some so loving, really, putting my hope in Him. Although my emotional scene at home was really bad, my parents were very supportive when it came to academics and co-curricular activities. Throughout schooling, since my mom is a teacher, she would really focus on me doing well in school. And so I consistently did well in school. And I also went for music classes. Immediately, considering that I had gotten that message when I was small, my auntie, she put me in the choir in church in Oman. And I started going for piano classes. I finished 8 grades in my piano. And during my 10th standard, during my boards, there was a music competition that was supposed to be held that would give you scholarship if you won it. I went, I played what I had learned for my 8th grade. And when they were announcing the results, they announced my name. And that was like a shock because I was not used to winning something so grand. And the prize was a scholarship to continue my diploma in music piano. One of the tiny escapes I found was my voice. Since the time I was small, people appreciated me for my voice. I used to sing in quite a lot of competitions. I didn't really realize the worth of my voice, but people would come and really appreciate me. And somewhere I let my voice become my identity. But I remember around the 11th grade, my voice started, I couldn't attempt the same higher notes I could before. My voice started getting thicker. And I thought that was something that was just of the moment, because of cold or something. We left it. By the 12th grade, my voice was hoarser and thicker. I really couldn't sing. The songs that I would sing were usually Konkani, Hindi, and they really need your voice to be very agile so you can move the notes. But I was really struggling, but I couldn't tell anybody because they wouldn't understand. My home was bad, my school life was bad, my voice started going. So all this really put me down. I was thinking of admission into NIT, one of the top colleges for engineering. In my state, there's this NIT called Surathkal. Only during that year, the government was not planning to consider the board marks. We had to write another exam, SAT, for which I didn't really study that well. And I fell short of 1 mark to get in my state NIT, which would have meant I would have been close to my family members. So I was transferred to the NIT in Andhra Pradesh. I went, however, because I had no other option. I moved into my new college. Like I said, I was not used to having a lot of friends, but this life involved being in a hostel. I was kind of happy to say bye to my parents because I was waiting to go away from the fights. I didn't miss my sister because I thought she was the one stealing all the love from me. I had new roommates now. Eventually, we got introduced to some other girls in our block. Let's say more outgoing with all kinds of students. We became a huge group of around 28 to 29 people. Things were okay. I was doing well in my engineering first year. It was going fine. I was also known as a singer in my college, even with my little hoarse voice, although it was not at its best potential. By second year, I remember that since Warangal is a place where not many shops exist, there are no malls, there are no theatres, there's nothing, it's just a village. So Hyderabad was the in thing. It is 3 hours away from Warangal. And we used to make our trip there. First it was just innocent fun. We used to go there, watch movies, come back. Slowly, my friends told me, why don't you try coming with us to a club? You know, they really let go of their energy and people have fun. I went there. I went with my friends because I really didn't know what to do. I remember I didn't enjoy it because I didn't understand what was there to dance so much. I didn't enjoy the beats. And because I didn't enjoy it, my friends said, why don't you try drinking? You know, it'll give you a high and you can start dancing. Although I resisted a lot initially, so I gave in eventually. Since drinking was becoming a common old thing now, they said, why don't you try smoking? And I remembered I had a voice to protect and I didn't want to give in. But then everybody, like literally, we used to go on trips, everybody used to do it and I used to feel so weird. They used to have a puff, it's okay. I used to take puffs, but it used to make me feel so scared. When I took in the smokes, it used to bring some sort of fear. You know your parents, you know your voice, you know what will happen. And I thought, why am I such a coward? I thought I was a coward because they were all chilling. Why was I, reacting this way? These thoughts would keep running. You can't handle the world. It's too much. Look at all these smart people. You're stupid. And the things you talk are so lame. That's why people call you dumb. During my second year of college, I used to have semester vacations. I used to come back to Oman. And I remember Father Michael had come from Pota. During one of his retreats, I remember when I was coming back home after his retreat, I was crying so badly in the middle of the night. My mom got up and she found it really strange. Even I found it strange because I really felt no sadness, but I was just crying. And this happened for 3 days. I told Father Michael this and he was like, you should come closer to God and start going for Mass daily in your college campus. I heard this word, but I went back to college. I didn't really go for Mass. For 4 years, I was without Mass, even obligation Mass. There was this new craze in me then that I had to lose weight, I had to become fit, and I had to look all, that my insecurity was only because I looked fat. If I exercised, everything would be normal. And when I was in Muscat, it was around 7 in the evening. I had slept that day, so I couldn't do my evening exercise at 5. My mom was going for Mass. She said, come with me for Mass. Everybody comes for Mass. I feel bad that you're here, but you still don't come for Mass with me. I said, no, Ma, you go. I won't come. And I was happy that I could get some alone time and do my exercise. But in the middle of that exercise, when I was like bending down to touch my feet, I had a severe pain. I thought this pain was exercise pain. It worsened for the next 1 hour. But they say you get exercise pain. So I thought maybe I didn't warm up. The next day, I thought of not doing exercise. The next day after that, I couldn't move. I just couldn't move. Even a slight tilt was hurting my entire body. My parents were terrified because I had to go to college 1 week later. And if I couldn't move, what would I do? Within 1 week though, I could move a little bit. I went back to college. My back pain got very terrible. I used to cry, and my friends, being friends and not really parents, for the first 1 week they were concerned. But eventually they move on with their life. I have to carry on with the pain. During that time, during the third year, my friends decided to go for a concert in Bangalore. Now this is supposed to be one of those bands, but you smoke up, you go high on drugs, and then you really enjoy the music. Now everybody told me it's really fun. I wanted to go, although not really being the party kind of person. I thought if my friends are going, I'll go. But my back pain was so severe, I just couldn't move. Now when I look back at that concert, I realized maybe God was stopping me from going there because I would have just gone worse into higher levels of drugs. I prayed to God. I said, I've not spoken to you in years, but if there's anything you want me to do, if you can help me, if you at least give me some hint that you want me to go in either one of the directions, I'll go, because I just can't make up my mind. And I didn't really have faith. I just did that as a call of desperation, and I continued my work for that week. 1 week later, when we were going for a movie, a group of friends, this random African person comes up to me. He comes up to me, he's like, can I talk to you for a while? I was like, okay. He took me aside. He was like, I don't know how you're going to take what I have to tell you, but I have to tell you something. He said, God has a plan for you. I said, sorry, what? God has a plan for you in music. And I said, are you a Christian? And he said, yeah. And I asked him, how do you know this? And he said, I got a vision of you, and where you're singing for the glory of God. And that's when, at that moment, it was a mix of feelings. God was making a place for me in music, but I was singing for God. Now that didn't make sense to me, because that was one of the phases when God bored me, when I had not really seen the power of God. But I was really happy that he at least said God had a place for me in music. So after that talk with him, I was a little more balanced, and I thought, okay, maybe God has not really given up hopes on me. We came for power, me and my family, broken as we all were. The first day when the band was singing praise and worship songs, I said, no, I'm not going to praise you. There's nothing to praise you for. I just couldn't move my body. And when we were given the lunch break, the dinner break, I used to keep thinking of what that Christian boy told me in college. You will sing for God. I said, how? I don't even feel like singing. And even if I do feel like singing, I don't think I can sing from morning to evening for you. And there was this weird arrogance towards God. Now when I think of it, it's so shameful. During then my power experience, the first 2 days were normal. Me and my sister were in the youth section, and my parents were in the couple section. Even then, when we had the one room, we were fighting as it was, and somewhere the whole thing seemed pointless. They're preaching love, and here we are just hating each other. Third day was the confession day, and the preacher made us realize all the sins that could possibly be driving us away. Alcohol, yeah. Drugs, yes. And then there was a little bit of smoking, and back answering my parents, not loving my sister, not taking care of the God-given voice that I had, not valuing the things, so many things that God had given me. I went for the confession. I was very scared of the whole thing, because I had never committed such a huge pile of sins, and it had never been so long. I remember there were around 4,000 people in that hall, and people were crying and crying and crying. And I was crying only because I was scared by hearing the cries of these other people. And I remember Father Augustine saying, people are seeing visions of God, and Jesus is touching them, Jesus is talking to them, embracing them. All you broken-hearted people, you can see Jesus. And I was like, am I not broken-hearted enough that you're not yet touching me? I felt absolutely nothing. The next day came, counseling session. My mom was really keen on taking me for counseling, as was the custom in our family. We went, and this time, when the counselor prayed over me, he told me, I have a message for you, Psalms 41-3. And that says, the Lord says, I will take you out from a pit of destruction. I will put a new hymn in your mouth, and then you will sing songs of praise. And those who listen to you will turn to the Lord. Now this corresponded, I took it as, when I was little, that preacher said that I would sing for God's glory. This Christian guy said I would sing for God. And I took the verse as new hymn in my mouth, so I probably will sing for God, which meant my voice will be healed. So I came back all happy because my voice being healed was the biggest ever, happiness anybody could give me at that time. The next day, this brother Jude Antoine, he preached about how in the womb, if your mother is not ready to accept you as a child, it really affects your inclination towards your mother and how insecurities come. And somewhere I thought, okay, what if my mom was not prepared for me? Maybe the insecurity comes from there. I remember my mom always telling me, you were conceived at a time when my dad was in jail then for some wrong accusation made at him. My mom was very tense. She had gotten a crazy ringworm disease and financial conditions were very low. She didn't know anything about motherhood and it just happened. I thought of asking my mom if this was the case. I mean, if I was really that unexpected. That night I spoke to her and she said, I hope you don't take it the wrong way though. I said, I need to know because maybe that'll help me. And she said, you were just so sudden. I didn't want you at that moment. First 2 months I just was crying to God for having you in my stomach. Even I didn't realize anything. I was not close to God either. And I realized, oh, my problem goes back to so many days back. Then I prayed to God that, He heals me from this terrible inclination to blame my mom every time. And I asked Him to heal my mom as well. And on the final day, the Holy Spirit infilling was going on. I was sweating all over, I was speaking in tongues, which I had not done in 4 years. And continuously, as long as Father Augustine was praising, I could just keep continuously, speaking in tongues. And that felt very relieving. Something inside me inspired me to read the Bible. Now I realize it's the Holy Spirit. Then I thought I'll try and search if, God missed some link over there that I had to catch. And meanwhile, after the Potta experience, I was enrolled in 2 singing competitions, one in Muscat and one in Mangalore. The Mangalore one was a TV singing competition called Sword. And the Muscat one was called Gulf Voice of Mangalore. Both were Konkani singing competitions, and the auditions for the Mangalore one was 2 days after Potta. And if you remember, I told you my voice was not yet back. And I was a little disappointed with God, but my love for singing made me go for the auditions. Believe me or not, for those 2 minutes of the auditions, my voice was so agile, it moved. And the judges were like, wow, what a beautiful voice. We would like to see you in the finals. And it's a pretty big show. It's not a simple show where so many people I thought were singing well, and they tell me that they want to see me in the finals. And I remember immediately after the auditions, there was the question answer session. I couldn't talk again. And right then when I was talking, I was surprised. I couldn't understand what was happening. After I'd come back, I pondered over it and I realized it's the first time my voice was miraculously present. I thought God would eventually give me my voice in 2 or 3 weeks. So I thought I'll continue reading the Bible till then. My main aim of reading the Bible was to get my voice from God. I started from the back part of the Bible where Peter talks about suffering and suffering for God, rejoicing in your sufferings. I thought maybe I should rejoice in the voice that I have. Maybe He'll do something with it. Only if I have faith will He give it back to me. Not out of love for God, only to get my voice back. And meanwhile, because my parents had to come back to Muscat and I had to be in Mangalore, I was staying at my aunt's place. I stayed there for 2 months. That was when I didn't have any internet. So my Facebook thing was completely gone. There was no craze to keep updating my status. I had no WhatsApp because there was no range in that place. I had really no contact with the outside world. It was me, my Bible, and that's it. So I was in that world for 2 months. During one of those times that I remember what St. Peter was saying and what St. Paul was saying, it really I started loving them for what they were saying. Nobody really encourages you that way. And I was thinking it's in such clear language, why didn't I ever read it? And I started applying what I was reading. And my next round came up, and this was in Muscat, the other competition that was taking place. The same situation happened. No voice at all. I couldn't even speak this time. It was a little worse. when I come back to Muscat, they have this idea that I'm very good at singing. They don't know what's really gone wrong with my voice, and this pressure is there. And even this was a television competition. And my mom is getting scared over there, and she was praying. We asked everybody to pray, but I think God had given me the gift of faith then, because I usually don't have faith, but then I kept telling everybody, God will give my voice. Why are you all scared? God will give my voice. He already gave my voice before. And again, during the semi-finals day of the Muscat competition, I had my voice and I got selected for the finals to represent the entire Oman area. There was a gap of 1 month between my semi-finals and finals. And I remember for the first time opening up with my mom, because I had nobody else to open up to. I cried with her, made her feel very open to me, and she said, don't worry about your voice, we'll do something about it, don't worry. And by the way, during this time when I was trying to follow what was written in the Bible, things were slowly improving at home. So during this 1 month, I used to go for mass, and the days of the finals were really nearing, and this was like the entire Gulf section of Konkani people coming to watch you sing, not just from Oman, but from Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Dubai. And I had to prove my voice in front of real professionals. And the pressure was building up. The day of the finals arrived, and in the morning, I remember going for mass. I was really crying. I was saying, my life depends on it, my reputation depends on it. Please give me my voice, at least for this day. I won't ask for it again. By God's grace, it was actually there. From 4 to 7, my voice was there. There was no blocked nose. There was absolutely no hindrance or crack in my voice. I sang. People were very impressed. I sat down waiting for the, judges' exclamation. They were supposed to announce 3 names for the next finalist of the final rounds. They announced the first name, it was not my name. They announced the second name, it was not my name. Then they took some time for the third name. I thought, I have faith, it's all going to work out. They announced the third name, it was not my name. And I thought, oh, this is a shock. And I didn't know what to make of it, but that was just a 1 second feeling. Immediately after that, I felt this overwhelming peace. Wow, I didn't get it. I'm so happy I didn't get it. And I didn't understand this feeling. People were looking at me and they're like, sorry. People all around were shocked, especially people who knew me. They really expected my name to be there. More than the emotional attachment, they thought I'd really done well, and many eyes were shocked. But somewhere I had this power to console everybody, saying it's okay, something better awaits me. Although I thought initially my life depended on winning this competition, I had not won it, and yet my faith was still there in God, and I was still happy. I came back to Mangalore. The Muscat phase was over. Again back to my auntie's place with no internet and nothing again, only Bible time. Now when I look back, those were one of the most powerful times when I could really ponder over God. When I stayed there, I continued with more Bible reading, and more number of rounds passed by, and I managed, and from many people, there was this time when I reached till the semi-finals of that competition. From around 100 girls in the entire Mangalore region, it was till 3 girls were left. And now the competition was getting really serious, and my voice was getting really resistant. I remember there was a Blessed Sacrament just 5 minutes away from the house, and I used to go and sit there. I would just look at it and just be there, not talking anything, nothing. And I understood a lot about how God's thing was not just a joke. You really have to be dedicated. It's just like any other thing. And I didn't want to give up on God when He had taken me so far, given me so much faith from my miserable college life and so many things. I thought, I'll stick to Him. And day after day, morning I would go for Mass, then I would sit in the Blessed Sacrament. It was Lent. I would say the Holy Rosary, then I would read the books. Basically, it was just God the whole day. The competition happened. My voice was the smoothest ever. Without practice, I had attempted a very tough song, which I had never attempted for more than 7 years. And people really appreciated my voice. But eventually, I got out of that round. God made it happen that way, I believe. But I remember by that time, I was so happy I even got out of the second competition that I had really put my hope on. And I realized that with God, after those days in the Blessed Sacrament, it was not a deal of voice anymore. I was praying to God, it's okay if you don't give me my voice. Give me this love that you keep giving. Give me this confidence that you keep giving. Give me this inner satisfaction. Give me this love that I can share with others and not just myself, in such a way that I'm not selfish. I had this new energy to talk about God with my family members, and I thought by my actions I could show them that, when you're filled with God's love, you just really don't think about any of the stupid things that affected you before, like who said what and how you feel within. It's all God and just God. And I realized that my sister who was in 10th, I could teach her better. Whenever she would talk back to me, I could just surrender it to Jesus. I could show more love to her, which kind of surprised her. Everybody said, "What's wrong with you? Why are you changing suddenly?" And I was very happy with my progress. I just came back from Muscat for this youth retreat. I came here basically to thank God for all the wonderful changes He's done in my life. He made me from such a selfish, broken-hearted person to a little more selfless person. And today, if you ask me, I love God. I just love Him more than anything. And all I want to do is serve Him. It's okay if the attention does not come to me. Who am I to get any attention? Because I couldn't handle my own life. It's Him who deserves all the praise. And I remember now, 1 year when I came back here for power, wondering if God gave me back my voice, how could I praise Him from morning to night? But now, if God decides to use my voice, I wouldn't mind not sleeping also and then singing for Him so that others would know how great of a God He is. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat.